Hi to all, and welcome once again to this now traditional spaces for dialogue among women, among experts, friendly conversations among experts. That's the way we like to name it. Why? Because that's what we do. We try to contribute with our expertise to create new codes. Today, the social code of physical stereotypes. It seems that it's not wrong to have social codes as they help us to cohabit in society. However, it seems that physical stereotypes could become very harmful, especially for the young women. It creates problems of health, physical and of mind, psychological, and we have today psychologists also to confirm this idea. That's why we would like to contribute to change that and create an inclusive society, which means all are welcome, as well as you all ladies that are very, very welcome. Birgitte Tan from US. Well, also we have like 3 from US and 2 from India and myself from Spain. Birgitte Tan is a partner for us here in G100 Global Networking. Thank you for being always there. She is an author of the bestseller Seeking Peace, and all the funds for her book goes to her foundation of Cancer Childhood Charity, that she is also the president. Birgitte, welcome.
Thank you very much, Mar. Thank you. And yes, as you mentioned, it is very important for us to be aware of these stereotypes, starting from actually being as we are young and as we are leading and helping young generation as well. As a grief transformation coach, I hear so many times, so practically every women and men as well, gentlemen as well, who come and say, oh my God, as I grew up, I was told this and I was told that. And this turned into unmet expectation, unmet hope, and it become grief. By definitions, that is one of the cause of grief, and a grief that follow these young women and young gentlemen for the rest of their life. When they come to me, it's 20, 30, 40 years later. So we're going to share today on how you can become more aware of the stereotype, and you will be able to bring more ease into your own life and the life around you as well.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Birgitte. Well-being, that is our goal, to create, if we create an atmosphere of well-being, probably aggression will be less. So the impact could be much more than we could imagine. Tanya Mattox, from Michigan, our lovely partner as well, that she is a consultant and certified coach on ethical manners. How important is these manners, isn't it, Tanya?
Thank you, Mari. Yes, it is. It does, as Bridget says, start in childhood often and follows you through adulthood. I can remember those types of experiences, having a working mom, having a babysitter who had lots of children, and after school being teased about being fat like Tanya. And those types of messages impact a child's life. As I grew older and became a dancer, I like modern dance and jazz dance and thought about going to pursue that. But then looking in the dance magazines at the young ladies who had eating disorders because they wanted to maintain a slim frame in order to keep their dance careers. So leading into the physical and the emotional problems, you also have bulimia and anorexia that rear their heads in those young lives when they're struggling with their physical stereotypes and challenging them, being challenged by how they appear.
Thank you, Tanya. You see, it is not about if it's beautiful or it's not. A code on beauty. This is not a code on beauty. We are discussing what means harassment, what means disorders, what means psychological or psychiatric psychiatric problems. So we are talking to also suicide, because that happened with teenagers. So physical stereotypes could be like a bomb, and very dangerous one.
Yeah.
Shreya, what do you think about this? Shreya is sorry with my pronunciation. No, this, I have to apologize each time I am live. And she is from India. She has started recently, and I have to say, please allow me, because we are quite euphorical with your present with us. She has been recently appointed as National Chair for India for G100 Global Networking Queen. So congratulations. And then I let you make your introduction of yourself as a consultant and founder of Elite Woman. We are blessed with your presence here, Shreya. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Mar, for having me in this event. So good evening, good afternoon, and namaste from India. I am Shreya Shetty. I am a human capital investor as Elite Woman. I'm the founder of Elite Consulting Venture, which is into human resource solutions, human capital investment solutions, as well as wellness solutions. Talking more about the topic, I think, Mar, I'm really thankful for bringing on this topic on this forum, where we could, have discussion around how exactly the stereotypes have been built around in the society. And I would definitely want to throw light. In fact, I was just, training a group of students who were doing their campus to corporate transition. I just finished with my session an hour back, and I just got here. And intrinsically, where I was trying to take them through the life skills and the journey, I found out that many, it's not about just the girl child, but I think it was more about the boys also, who were finding it difficult to be themselves in a society which typically, coming from the Indian subcontinent. I think from the childhood we are not instilled with that confidence. Not many of us are fortunate enough to get that kind of upbringing where you are okay to be yourself. We are always, compared with our siblings. I personally come from a background where I remember in my childhood days, being that black sheep in the family, who was always compared. So I think my life journey has always been about breaking those stereotypes, whether it is physical, emotional, or mental. So I think it's very important to really identify who you are and, just being yourself, because that's how, you shape up to be a unique individual, being yourself and amplifying your imperfections. Because, there's nothing called as perfection. It has been just an illusion which has been created. Whether you talk about the external beauty, it boils down everything, how you are feeling within inside. So I think whether it is the weight issues or the appearance or the aesthetic look that, a society typically puts a woman more or so into categories, I think it is more to speak about the mindset and the emotional barriers that one creates for themselves. It's just about breaking those barriers when you are talking about physical stereotypes or any other kind of imperfection. So that's for me, the whole topic revolves around how you deal with it, and emotionally how resilient you are to be yourself and okay to be imperfect as well.
Thank you for this beautiful message. Being ourselves, so it's not just the message to be against the social code, just being yourself and trying to be inserted no matter which harmful influence do you have around you. It's a matter of transformation, isn't it? Paula Alphonse, she's also from US, is another one from US. And we are very happy to have you with us. She's a certified coach precisely on transformation. Paula.
Hello. I'll start maybe by doing a small minor correction. I am actually from Canada. I know a lot of people in the States, but from Canada. And what I wanted to maybe mention around this is I myself consider that I'm a bit of a status quo disruptor. So ever since, I've always been, even when I was a young child. And the idea is this sense of removing those unnecessary limits or that are imposed on me, but also on other people. And for me, this is all about stereotypes. This is all about boundaries that are actually fences that keep you in places where you might not want to be. So in those conversations, what I try to do with my clients and the ones I work with, it's often the sense that there are obstacles that they might or might not identify at the beginning. But once we do, it's the sense of how do I remove these in order to continue my journey and be the best me I can be and live my best life right now. Because a lot of times we just go into those models and try to live according to those models, but we lose ourselves in that process. So that's what I love this conversation. It's about stretching people's perspective and figuring out what's important to you. And is it serving you? Whatever it is that you've been told, that you've taken on, is it serving you in your journey right now? Is it time to offload some of those excess luggage?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Paula from Canada. So let's reivindicate the flag. Being yourself, follow the coach, not follow. We have a coach that helps you to transform yourself. What is the psychological impact on that, especially for teenagers? What is it? And we have here, we are so happy to have it. It's the first time, the first of many, as I always say, with people as Abirami Vivek from India. Just is precisely an expert and psychology expert. Abirami, what do you think about this physical stereotypes and their impact on the society?
Good evening, everybody. First of all, I thank you for this opportunity, Mar, and it is wonderful. And the moment you said the topic was very interesting, and I felt very nice to talk about it. So, for example, when I'm a child psychologist, I've been running an early childhood center for the last 14 years. I've seen many parents coming and talking about the child and their body shapes, or telling whether it is a boy or a girl, everything. But later I realized it is just the matter of understanding your body and keeping yourself healthy. Why I understood this was basically my father was a sports person, and he used to be really, really fit. And he always says, like, Abhi, if you don't exercise or if you don't eat right, you're going to lose your health. So there the health mattered, not the body shape. So you become fat or you become thin, that doesn't matter. Your health matters. So it was kind of an eye opener for me when I started attending to many children. So I keep telling the people, don't talk about their color, don't talk about their height or weight or shape or whatever it is. It's only the health that matters. So that way, if you ask me, I would like to enlighten people to understand that concept basically, and break down all these stereotypes. So in fact, I had when I started the early center, so initially it was a franchise, and then one of the company person came and told me, to get more admissions, you should have teachers who are like air hostess. Immediately I told, I don't know why I reacted. I told, I'm not looking at somebody who will walk in between, seats in a small gap pushing a trolley. I want somebody to sit down and get up and then carry the chair and play with them. So that is what is important, not the body shape. Probably what you talk about is suitable for the airline industry, but not for this. So that way, I feel body shape is something, or the stereotype, whatever we call, is not an important thing. But keeping yourself healthy is the most important thing.
Yeah. Thank you so much. It's a beautiful message, but it's easy to be understood, especially for teenagers or even for adults. When we are living in a social media, a social sphere, we could say that, because we are inside the sphere, and the sphere is telling us that we need filters, right? That we need, our appearance have to be perfect. So if we don't do it, it's because we are disbalanced. We have psychological problems, and we are not easy adapted to the society. So how we could do that? And this is a question for all of you. I don't know which one would like to start. Maybe Birgitte.
So
How do
maybe can I
we
start?
harmonize? Who say that, please?
I said that.
Yes, the psychology we need it here. Yes, it's
So
essential this session. Yes, Abirami, please go ahead.
So I generally feel whatever it is, why people ask me, why are you there in early childhood education? And then what are you doing there? Why don't you move out and then do a lot of things? I say that that's the heart and soul of me. And even in my own place, they would say when I wanted to start, you are not an element for doing a early childhood education or care. I said, like, it is not that I go to pamper and then take them and then feed them, cuddle them. It's not. I want to give a specific kind of enlightenment or an induction for their lifetime. From like taking care of themselves, having confidence, and doing a lot of things. That way, from the childhood, it is the parents. See, a parent came to me and told me once, like, ma'am, my son is very tiny and I want him to grow tall. And that lady is slightly closer to 5 feet. Husband is 5'4". For an Indian standard man, 5'4" is shorter. So I told her, like, I believe a fish can give birth only to the fish. So see what it is. And you won't believe that child learns swimming in one day and you cannot beat the way he swims. He's a great swimmer. So, and I told her, like, enhance that capacity. Today, because she put it into swimming, the physical body has grown. And another thing in India, if you see, as Shreya said, there is, branding at an early age. This is how, like, this is. But if you see in Ayurveda, we say different type of bodies, like we classify into Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. So the combinations are also there. So what happens? Your body, if it is a Vata body, it will be like this. Kapha body, it will be like this. So for that, what you have to do is what is more important than, like, I have to become thin, and then if I will do paleo or I will do something XYZ kind of a thing. It's going to affect you. So that way, eating right and then keeping us here, keep it in your mind. You are healthy and you can do whatever you can. So that is more. So what we can do is from the beginning, from an early age, we can start training them. And I have seen so many of my own kids in the last 14 years have gained confidence to handle themselves in the way they are. So that can be done from the early age. And parents have to be really, given that kind of an empowerment or an enlightenment to handle such situations.
Creating new codes from a very early stage, isn't it? No, especially because of this introduction of social media into their life. Because their point of reference, the code, is what they see on the internet, not the families in general. No, Paula, please go ahead.
What I would say on this one is totally agree with Abirami. It's the sense where when they're young, they take all the information in. And as a parent, I realized there's so many limits that I was imposed. When I started having kids, it's like, I need to check those and validate whether they're still good. And that's the part where I might not have gone to a child psychologist, but then at the same time, when you look at the larger world, and we're talking the universe, diversity is everywhere. Nothing is exactly the same. So I'm always surprised and astonished as how, as a human race, we are still trying to impose those stereotypes or those limits on things. There might be a flower that in one country will be considered a weed, and in another country, that same flower would be considered a treasure. So it's these elements where you have to appreciate what is the context and is it appropriate? Is it for you? It's not. And that's only you who can figure those out. And for me, I'll go back to what was mentioned earlier. What truly matters is, are you healthy? Are you healthy physically? Are you healthy mentally? Are you healthy emotionally? If you have those in place, then there's certain things, yeah, doesn't belong to me. Somebody's trying to put that limitation on me. Somebody's trying to make me fit in a mold, in a box, where it's just like, I'm sorry, not my box, your box, you take it away with it.
Mhm. It is easy not to fit in the box. It's easy to do it if we have the resources, the mental resources to do it. Tanya, Birgitte,
Yes.
or Shira.
All right.
Yeah.
Who is that? I didn't want to.
I would. I'll jump in. I would say yes to have the mental resources, and at the same time, you can have all the resources, and you can listen to. There is always a lot of things out there, like Paula just says. You have this in here, and you could have something else is in a different place, and at the bottom of that is it's your decisions.
Mhm.
You are to say what do I want to listen, because now many people whom I know, the media here, at least in the US, has not changed, and there is a slight shift there. At some point it was, oh, everybody got a bit pencil thin. Now it's not so much of that, but still it's a business. It's a business where they want you to look this way and that way and put this makeup and that and so forth, because it's a business. Are you buying into that business, or are you going for not only a lot of time? Yes, it is your own well-being, but back to being child psychology, not only what you're telling the child, not only what you're asking the psychologist, but how you are is a very strong message. It's even stronger message than what you're telling the child sometimes. Why? Because you can have this thing, oh yes, my child psychology says you got to compliment the child, you got to encourage the child, and you do that. You are a good mother and a good father, and at the same time the child hear you say to yourself in the bathroom, oh my God, look at my big belly. Or dad say, oh my God, stupid me, what did I say? What is the message to the child? Oh, the message is you say good thing to other, but you hate them yourself and you judge yourself. That is just
That's bad.
as it's concerning, and it is concerning for you. I'm very much into what's the greater good for all in general when I do anything, and so it is, know that everything that is good for you, if you take care of yourself, if you're being kind to yourself, it is being kind to the future generations. It's being kind, yes, to yourself, but everyone around you. Imagine if you have a family and your spouse hearing you saying that, would it break her heart or his heart? Perhaps. And so just there are many studies shows that people are even more motivated and change even easier when there's somebody outside of them to change for. And so if you say, well, this is the way I am, think about your loved ones. What is the impact of you buying into the business that caused stereotype to your loved ones?
Leaving a message of diversity, that was mentioned by Paula, no? But Tanya, how we do that? We are doing this event. We are contributing. We make our small contribution to send a message, isn't it? But what we could do more in social media, no? Because think of that. The youngers are very very active in social media, no? So in Instagram now, that is the best for them. Yes, Tanya.
And they are, and I'm glad that the whole aspect of social media was mentioned, because that does have a huge impact. Like you said, there are different filters. People also are more willing to talk about and participate in plastic surgery and creating the look that they want. and not everyone has that. And monitoring our own self-talk and what we're saying to ourselves about ourselves. Again, modeling that for any youth or onlookers or in your home and around your loved ones. Learning how to appreciate you. And like you said, the diversity. The world is made up of many different shapes, sizes, and shades. And learning how to fully embrace that. If you go to an art museum and look at some of the artwork of the greats, you see very fluffy, round, beautiful women, and they were considered beautiful. They were not pencil thin and perfectly chiseled. I think that the youth especially can benefit to reaching out and being exposed to more of that sort of messaging and artwork to see that diversity and what's going on. Because like Birgitte said, it's a business. Paula had mentioned that before too. It's a business. Who decides what the clothing should be and what kind of body style should fit that clothing? That is for their marketing and what they're doing. It's very important to establish input, as Abirami was saying, even from you, very young, begin to shape and form those thoughts and ideas in the children. And I know that many people who are struggling with the physical stereotypes, they're mature and they're well past that. But to understand that, no, they don't have to fit into that mold. That is all marketing. And it's very important that you have a good self-perception and learn about what is going on with you and what is the best in you that you can bring. Because personality, your kindness, your love, what you do out there in the world can always overshadow whatever physical stereotype there may be. And we need to hold on to that.
Physical stereotype as a code that changed with the passage of time. As Tanya mentioned, the painting. So after certain times or centuries, it changed. And so there's nothing that allow us to say that we are progressing, because if they change, probably in one century, we will going to go back.
Yeah, sure.
So it's a businesses. So Shira, it's a businesses. It's terrible this, So what would we do that? We go against the society, we rebels, you give anti-society. We have to go through the surgeries, the plastic surgeries to become more accepted. What we have to do, Shira? What is your personal experience?
All right. So Mar, before answering that question, I would like to take reference of, because I could completely resonate what, Abirami mentioned, being an early child educator and a counseling psychologist, where she deals with the mindsets of parents who come up with, certain standards, how their kids should look at. I think the formative years of any child's life sets the kind of value system and how the person actually shapes up as he grows into an adult or grows into teenage and steps into adolescence. So I think it is very important to instill that belief and confidence. It will certainly take a cycle breaker in generations to break out of that cycle and say, hey, this has been running in my family, but I am going to be the cycle breaker. And it takes a whole lot of courage to do that. Whether you're talking about physical stereotypes or, breaking mental or emotional barriers. So I have seen families where there is constant comparison between the siblings. And I wasn't spared any to that. Typically when in India you have this matrimonial thing going on. So you would obviously want the girl to look in a certain shape. She should be fair skinned and she should have those ideal vital stats. And I was freaked out by the fact that, when men put out their requirements in terms of, okay, this is the vital stats they are looking at in a girl, she should be fair skinned, she should be looking beautiful and all of that, setting standards or, more of labels and tags on a woman's beauty. So that was something which really used to amuse me. How could anybody be setting beauty standards? I mean, unless you really want to be, calling out or being comfortable in your own skin, who is there to decide, on your behalf? So, like, coming to your question, I think it is very important for every individual, and more so for women, to set her own beauty standards, how comfortable she is with the way she is looking, with the way she's carrying the clothes. It's not about a thin frame, or it's not about having the ideal weight or body mass. It is about how healthy she is feeling from within. So it is more of, I think, mind and body connection, because we all know resilience plays an important part in shaping up our lives. So I think all this fad diets and these crash diets and all that teenagers go through, that is somewhere setting in a very wrong message for the generations to come, that there are ideal standards. Of course, everybody is free to make their own choices. I think it is empowering when every woman, every girl gets the choice to make herself, rather than the society putting her into some stereotypical categories where she should look a certain way, or she should be looking like a role model. Coming from a corporate training background to getting into skill development and life skills education, I think for me, the transition from corporate to working with institutions and schools was more like an eye opener, where I was supposed to be dressed like somebody who cannot be carrying Western clothes, because I would be into a typical rural set of, a setting where I need to set standards that, oh, I am an ideal woman. So I should be wearing maybe an Indian attire, a salwar kameez with a dupatta, or a 6-yard sari. So from that corporate transition, wherein I was, more into the Western formals, skirts, blazers, trousers, I had to shift my at one point my dressing sense, just to accommodate and make myself worthy of the standards people were looking at me. So I can imagine if, coming from that privileged and educated background, even I had to kind of fight for my own identity. I can imagine how women out there could be, under the pressure, feeling the pressure of being judged, labeled all the time. So I think it is very important to instill the belief and self-confidence in the formative years. The talk that happens in the family, within the family, or outside the family, is very important to set the tone, how an individual shapes up, both in terms of their behavior or in terms of how comfortable they are into their own skin.
Thank you, Shira. Abirami, we are talking about setting beauty standards. Should do it or not? It's okay to set beauty standards if they are diverse, for example. It's important to do that. How we do it? Are we prepared for that? And it's very specifically, I would like to focus not only on teenagers, that at least we had the hope, isn't it, that they could change. But what happened with adults that have become desesperated to be like that? Because this is the example that the model that we are living. So let's focus on adults right now, if you allow me like this to do that, because I think it will be the most important challenge.
Yes.
So when it comes to the beauty standards, I would say that we shouldn't be really, concentrating on setting up a standard. There is no standard as such. As Shreya mentioned at the beginning, perfectionism or something is up to a individual. Of course, I'm a perfectionist in my own way, but then like I cannot expect people around me to be in that thing. So that even in a normal thing, it happens like that. So when you ask me about the people who are in the grown up stages, so I know a person, she started having gray hairs in a very early age, and she wasn't very comfortable. So she started coloring her hair, thinking that this is going to add this thing, and she was very unhappy about doing that. So suddenly, when her college going son noticed that she's getting frustrated and irritated, it seems it was an eye opener for us, for her. It is not only the parents who give gyan or give some ideas and belief systems to the children. It's the children also sometimes give big message to the parents. So the son who's in the college has come and told her, "Ma, this is not your nature. So you're camouflaging something which you are actually not, and that is hurting you. You start hating yourself. Why don't you leave your hair? You don't color it. Leave it." And you wouldn't believe, now she's a person who's really really famous, though I cannot mention the name. It's something, like that she's broken down that, and now with full white hair she's known in the city. So that way, like it's beauty as a standard. See how long she can color. She's not comfortable, and then you buy something and then try something, and then you're irritated using it. It's not only putting pressure on something which your nature is not. So if as a person she doesn't like to be a person who camouflages and shows something out. On the whole, if you see, she's now I think 55 plus. She's thin, and this thing, you can, if at all her hair is black, you will judge her only at 30s. That's how she looks, healthy. But then, only the hair. She says, like, now she'll tell me, "Abirami, I'm the beauty with the white hair." She's probably that way adapting. One thing is, as I always say, I cannot allow somebody to hurt me or influence me until and unless I receive that. And if I have that belief system in me, and then I have a doubt in that particular, look or belief system or whatever. So that one thing, if we develop as a child or an adult, it's going to be really easy handling so many situations.
Beautiful, beautiful example. Yes, Paula.
What I would say on this one, and I guess it is understanding our journey as human being, it's this part where you want to belong, you want to fit in certain environment. But each and every one of us has to appreciate how much fitting do I need to do in order to still be me. So that's the portion where I might, let's just say, I'm meeting my in-laws. I might dress a certain way so that the transition into that family feels a little more seamless, so that they don't see me with my 20 piercings and tattoos and whichever. But what you want to do is get into it, and then from there on start showing your true self, because what hurts most individual is carrying the mask 24/7. If you marry into a family and even your husband doesn't know what you look like deep down inside, we have a problem, because you're not liking yourself. You're transferring that to your kids, telling them that being you is not as important as being the person other people want you to be. So this is the part where being aware of what the standards are in society is helpful to enter into a specific area, but you have to be strong enough in that area to be able to start showing who you are. And if you're in an area and they're not liking who you are, that usually tells me time to go. Period. You have to go elsewhere, because how much am I willing to suffer so that other people are happy? Don't I deserve to be happy too? And that's that juggling act that we have to do all the time. I might be in the corporate world and I have to wear a certain outfit. I was in the corporate world, there were certain things you had to do. But trust me, everywhere I've been, people have always known me for my accessories. So I might have worn the corporate outfit, but trust me, I wasn't wearing it the way other people were. So this still shows to your character and to your personality. And that's the part that we as parents, as human beings, have to appreciate. You can still understand what are the values within a group without having to espouse every single one of them.
That's great, Paula. It's a matter of a strong personality. It's all about personality.
I would say that.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Paula.
I would say it's not just about personality, it's about being you. You can be, okay, believe it or not, you might not, because a lot of people don't. I'm a strong introvert. So, from that perspective, I might do this to help others. The idea for me is always how can you be of service to others? I have been raised in an environment where we were allowed to be who we wanted to be to certain boundaries. It was always from the perspective as long as it is not negatively impacting someone else. So that's it. If you're able to function and still contribute and do it in a positive and constructive way, no problem. And that gave me that sense of character. That gave me that sense of authenticity. I can see someone that is shy and understand that there's different way for them to show up who they are, but we still have a personality. So even as an introvert person, you have a personality. We have a society that seems to favor what we call them what's the word? It's outgoing, but it's not the extroverts. The extroverts are the people who talk a lot and tell you things, and they show up somewhere and everybody's like, oh, they were here. And then there's the other people that are more introverts. And in life, 2/3 of the population are introverts. So that 1/3 that seem to be all over the place telling you, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here. There might not be most people. So I have this ability, and this is just who I am, this ability to see both sides. Even the extroverts sometimes don't want to tell all that they're telling. But there are some abilities where you have to be able to see the person behind that facade. And if you're able to do that, then that also allows you to see, am I putting up a facade? If you can't see someone else's fake, you should be able to say, am I truthful? Am I honest? Am I showing up as myself?
Thank you. Tanya, what do you think?
A statement that really made me think about being introspective. You do have to spend some time alone and learn about you and what is it that you actually like, what empowers you, what style, because creating a success environment is something that I work with. How are you comfortable? What makes you feel empowered? And monitoring that self-talk. A lot of times it's our own internal conversations that have the most negative impact. And it's important that we say the right things to ourselves. Realize that media out there gives the best aesthetic. You can create whatever it is you want to create, but what is it that's in your heart? What is it that's in your soul? How do you want to show up in the world? Learn to set affirmations for yourself daily. Begin your day with reminding yourself of who you are and what you bring to the world and how you want to show up. Constantly supporting yourself is something that is empowering, and it does not mean that you are narcissistic. It does not mean that you are just being too into yourself, but it's a matter of protection. It's a matter of that emotional well-being, which you can participate in and which will help you with not falling victim to those stereotypes. You be the strength for yourself. Begin each day like that and end each day like that. And it'll resonate with others. It will be projected. People will see it and be attracted to that.
Beautiful, Tanya. Abirami, Tanya mentioned narcissism, which is very, very important, no? Because when you have a social code that is narcissist, if you don't follow the crowd, so if you are not a narcissist, you have problems to be inserted in the society. How we cope with that psychologically?
I'm sorry, the audio wasn't clear a little bit, but still I have understood what I have understood. I'll just answer this. So I think you asked about being in the crowd or away from the crowd, right?
Yes, no, I'm talking about narcissism that Tanya had mentioned. No, narcissist. We have a social code that is narcissist. So the people that don't follow the crowd, they are not narcissists, but they go against the society. To be narcissist, if the social code is narcissist, we follow them or not. But what is the impact psychologically on the people when they follow a pattern that is narcissist?
See, when you say in the form of psychology, we can only say it's a kind of a personality disorder. If we have to put it very simple, narcissistic personality disorder. So, as we talk about, there are no set standards or set stereotypes. We shouldn't be doing that actually. We cannot put ourselves into a frame and then like we cannot be having a particular shape or a particular size and then put ourselves into it. That's what I would really say.
Thank you. Shira.
Yes, I think I really loved the way Tanya has put it across, beautifully explaining that it is a matter of emotional well-being and state for all of us, and more so for women or individuals in their teenage to understand that there's a certain sense of urgency as human beings. I think we are more inclined at the of course early ages, we are being taught to seek validation externally, whether it is beauty standards or whether what you are wearing or even your opinions have to be validated. First it's your family, then friends, and then society. But little do you know that as you grow up and start embracing and having this entire self dialogue and inner talk, where you are wanting to embrace your original self without even pretending to the world what you are all about, what are your opinions, what are your belief system. I think that is where the eye opening happens with most of us in the society. And that's where you start feeling this resistance coming out from the society, which tries to stereotype you based on your opinions, based on your thought processes. So I think it is very important for every individual to develop a mindset where he or she is completely okay with the beauty standards that she wants to set for herself. I think I have always believed in sharing this, with everyone who I meet, interact, that you can be your own self, rather than being a mediocre duplicate copy of someone else. You can retain your originality. You can be as authentic as possible. And that's how I keep telling people that please be yourself and be your unique self. That's how you will keep getting better at better. I remember there was a time working in a male dominating consulting industry, working with automotive clients. I was said that being a female, you are too young for this job. Starting in my 20s, I still remember, I would not take name of those gentlemen, but yes, now I remember that one comment. I took it so deeply and I said, no, this is something I need to really defy if I need to work in this industry. And I think, a male dominated industry, for a woman to make her mark, whether through her work, every little thing she does or she says, she has to prove or justify it, or she has to get it validated. I think that's the typical mentality which brings in this stereotypical mentality in the society, whether it is physical, emotional, or mental. I think it is up to us how we set our own standards and how you bring that self-confidence and belief to hold that self-esteem within yourself, to say that, hey, I am okay with all my imperfections. I might not be perfect, but yes, I am daily working on myself to become a better version of myself. I think that self journey itself speaks volumes about your belief system, your limiting patterns. You may not be the best to the world, but as long as you feel that you are perfectly all right in the shape that you are, I think it should work for the world around you. They can always adjust with you.
And you became an elite woman, isn't it? Yeah. And with that
So
goes.
my entire life philosophy revolves around that. There have been instances all throughout my life where I was compared. I was told that I was imperfect. I was not according to these standards that have been set by the society, whether it was beauty standards or making my choices in life, whether it was going for my education. I was the first engineer in my family. So I remember an uncle making a rude remark in a marriage function that, oh, what are you going to do doing so much of studies? At the end of the day, you are going to be taking care of, your family back at home, cooking and all. And today, I think 15 years down the line, he has got the answer. What am I doing with my education and career? So I think it takes a lot of courage for any individual to hold that belief system where you don't pretend yourself to be somebody else, and you just go whatever you believe in basically. I think, and then the output has to be what you are looking for. So that's my message out here for every individual. Just believe in yourself and things will fall in place.
Thank you so much. Beautiful, beautiful message. But Birgitte, you see that in that message that Shira is sending to us, she have to have a confrontation. No, she have to confront the society. So it's not easy. The social code is telling her no. No, doesn't matter how much narcissist is the code. The society is telling her no. So she have to follow that. So, but she choose not to, and she say no. I will follow my balance. What represent my balance? Birgitte, in your experience as a professional, have you seen this confrontation? The people easily get into that confrontation. How they solve it?
Definitely confrontations that a lot of time people have with themselves and with the society. Sometimes it's not just the society, but you might be in a different society now, such as, for instance, nowadays there are more awareness and there are this message that you are beautiful as you are. Back to your original questions, Mar, should there be a standard or something? For me personally, the only standard I hold, the standard of beauty that I hold to anybody is, do you try the very best you can? And for me, anyone who try the very best you can, and the very best look like look like anything. It could be you are doing certain work that nobody else is do. It could be you are size 20, and do you feel great? And are you doing the very best? And of course, it is like you said, it can be a conflict outside, and it even be a conflict inside. Sometimes we have so much message from society, we don't know what is best for us, and that's when we want to welcome help. That's when we want to welcome support. There is like this All Ladies League and the Global Network, and a lot of the coaches here are here to help each other and to help you. So if you say, I don't even know what's best for me anymore, I am confused with the message out there. Yes, I know what I want, but I don't know how I'm going to stay strong. Then connect with us. You know how to reach us through here, and we will be happy. We will be more than happy to help, to support you. And for some of us, perhaps we say, well, I have so much turmoil and confusion just inside of me. But the book that Mars mentioned earlier, Seeking Peace, here, it's available on Amazon in any country, and 100% of the proceeds is donated to the International Childhood Cancer Charity. This gives you the basic understanding of your feeling and how to navigate through changes and to be able to be back to yourself. And like Paula says, yes, sometimes we want to adjust. We want to be able. There is a way where you can be you, and you can also still be surfing for all.
Yes, Paula, go ahead.
What I would say on this, it's really from a perspective where you might see me today as a strong person, a strong character, but it took a journey to get there. The 20-year-old was maybe more siding with what the expectations were. But as you age and you realize, why am I making this so difficult for me, so that people who don't even think about you when you're not in the room are just having a grand time on their own. And that's the portion where we have to realize the biggest confrontation is sometimes not on the outside, it's on the inside. It's this idea that we have to meet a certain expectation. The first time you say no, I'm not going to do it, you are on your guard and waiting for something to happen. And then you realize nothing happens. Nobody cares about those expectations so much, or few people cares about those expectations so much that they're going to say, that's it, you're out of my house, out of my work employment, out of whatever it is. It's just that we make those things, those expectations, bigger than they are. So it feels as though it has to be one of those life confrontation. Most of the time it's not. It's that sense of relief. Nowadays, my approach to life is inner peace. If I am okay with me, if I am happy with me, if I have done my best to be the best person I can be and influence others in a positive way, guess what? Done my job for the day, you go to bed.
Fantastic, Paula.
I love that, Paula, because a lot of time being a grief coach, practically everybody come to me and say, how do I have more inner peace? I want more inner peace. And it is something where be yourself. You cannot have inner peace if you sell your souls to the devil. And the devil, not necessarily, many people think, oh, it's the corporate or something, but it could be the magazine and could be something else that everybody else saying. And so, like you said, like we've been saying, be yourself, allow support if you want to discover how it is that you can be yourself, your best self that you love, and being as of service of other as well, and have naturally. And when we do that, it's always natural. When we are in flow, so to say, with life, then you will have inner peace. You will have the success you want because you're not going against the tide of yourself, of inside of you.
You ladies are all very dangerous. I don't know if you realize that, because the message we are sending is absolutely individualistic, rebel, strong personalities, work with self. All of you have done that. And I agree with that. But also, besides that, beyond that, what we could do at social level, how we contribute to change this social code that is a business, as Birgitte have said. What we could do, we prepare ourselves, but also what we could do in the organization, the community, how we could lead that change.
I think I'll take up that first. Can I? All right. So like after hearing to all the conversations, right from the psychological point of view, from the life coaching perspective, I think we have covered all the dimensions of how we can come over or how we can have that self-identifying process initiated. But I think what could possibly be done to bring a large amount of awareness is speaking about this. And that's where I think as a youth and women empowerment advocacy coach, I have been trying my bit. I don't know about the impact that I have been able to create, but still I would urge, all out there to speak on such topics, which brings a certain amount of responsibility and accountability in the society for every individual to trigger the thought process, whether it is breaking down the physical stereotypes or setting standards, I think it is a journey for every individual to identify with their own core values, and find out that space where they hold strong and they feel comfortable talking about their inner demons. So I think more we talk and advocate on these things, it will be easier for people to relate, to resonate, and come up with their own dilemmas in life. And that's how we can create a world which is, I think, much better than what we came into. So that's my viewpoint of how we can possibly make it a little better for the coming generations.
Tanya, yes, Tanya, you're right. Yeah.
In the spirit of random acts of kindness, take opportunities to tell someone that you've overheard maybe being self-deprecating or not feeling, saying some negative comment. Take that opportunity to affirm them. Tell them how wonderful they are and how whatever it was they did is not that bad. Just take every opportunity that you encounter with someone who's suffering from that and has expressed and espoused that they're struggling with some sort of physical stereotype or feeling negative about themselves. You take it upon yourself as an individual and as that change agent in the moment to tell them how wonderful they are and how they're perfect just the way they are. And like Shreya said, perfection in your imperfections. Be comfortable with that. Every encounter lifts someone else up.
You see, Tanya, we were talking about from the society what we could do, and Tanya goes to a magnificent and beautiful conclusion. Say, talk to someone and say something positive. I mean, because most of the time, the aggression of that social code, of that beauty standard, came from another woman, and not from a man. And we're an organization for women empowerment. Yes. So this is an absolutely basic, Birgitte, Paula?
For me, it has always been, and I guess this is the sense of leaving the world in a better state than you came into it. So helping others stretch their minds, stretch their perspective, become more aware of what truly matters to them is, to me, the best contribution we can do to this world. I don't need to put you in a box and for you to be the way I think you should be. I want you to be that shining light that you're meant to be. And it's in the sense that as a collective, we each have to learn something from someone else. So behaving as though only I have the answer makes no sense. And that's the part where it looks as though, as we're talking, that it's all about me and individual perspective. But technically, I'm all about the collective. How do we rise all together and make a better world rather than, hey, I was there. It's let's do this together so that we all make a difference. And as I said, to me, it's that empowerment of women, because the women are the beginning and the end of almost everything. We give birth, we take care of people, we bury people, we do everything. So from that perspective, working with women always allows for a larger community impact.
Yeah, I would say I would agree with that. I actually love what Tanya says and Paula and everybody, but it is a combination of things on how we help people change and how we help you help others as well. And it is, what's the intentions in there? Is it for the greater good of all? And yes, you can do a lot of things. For me, it's always when the educated mind has better understanding and be able to change better. So an education, whether through a panel like this, the social medias nowadays thankfully allow us to educate our youth. And youth is relative. when I was 35, I called the 18 years old youth. Now I call the 35 years old youth. And but how do we educate others? How do we educate our youth? And it's a moment. Life is a moment to moment thing. So like Tanya says, if you hear or heard something, you can always say, hey, I love, and you don't have to address the exact same thing, but you can compliment in something else about the person safely. And so it's one thing that a combinations of educations and outreach, educating yourself, and also a moment to moment act of kindness to yourself and to others.
Yeah.
So, when it comes to being yourself, does it only matter? Being yourself, yes, it matters, but at the same time, how you're presenting or how you're keeping yourself in a crowd, it matters a lot. So, one thing when you have to be in the crowd because humans are also social animals. So, one thing what I would say is when we are in a crowd, please do not compare, do not have any judgments, and don't have any fear, feelings or any assumptions that what is that? Am I right? Am I wrong? Be yourself. Let the world accept what and how you are, and you also ultimately accept people around you the way they are. Because the moment we start, branding or grading or putting somebody into a particular frame, automatically that's going to happen to us, and we are not going to be ourselves, and automatically that's going to give a kind of disappointment to us. So that way, be yourself in the crowd, accept people the way they are. Automatically you'll be living in peace. As Paula said, peace is very important. The inner peace is very important. The inner peace is can be very easily achieved when you accept things in the as they are.
Beautiful, thank you. Tanya, I have to leave now. Would you like to make your conclusion? We're almost on the end, but Tanya, would you mind to make your conclusion? We say goodbye to you,
Yeah.
and then we continue with the conclusion of the rest, please.
Okay.
Tanya.
Well, I'd like to just encourage everyone to embrace themselves, embrace your authentic self. Realize that a lot of what you see on media and social media is fabricated. It is an illusion. And you can appreciate the illusion, but you don't have to strive for that and that perfection. Embrace your own imperfection and know that you're beautiful just the way you are. Thank you, ladies, for your conversation.
Thank you for being with us, Tanya.
Thank you. Continue to share wisdom.
Yeah, thank you. Brigitte, your conclusion.
I love that, and I would say yes. There is a thing say comparison despair. In other words, the more you compare, the worse you got. And so, one thing that you want to, and the other part is life is about change. There is nothing steady in life. For us to be able to continue staying alive, as doctor, I know this. Your body got to keep changing, and so life is about change. So if you're not feeling so great about something right now, just know that if you keep looking back, some of us keep looking back and say, oh, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, life is about change. You keep moving and it just take one step at a time. And it sounds a little bit like an old saying that you are beautiful. And it's not just beautiful. You're beautiful and you're perfect where you are. Embrace them as much as you can. Allow support if you feel you might be able to benefit from that. And together, we will be able to create something even better.
A true message on seeking peace, Brigitte. That like your book is all about that. Yeah. The next one.
I could say for me, what I'd like to tell every single woman in this world: be you, do you, show up for yourself. and start living your best life right now. Stop trying to meet other people's expectation. Figure out what are your dreams, what are your hopes, and how do I make them happen. That's all you need to know. The rest, the universe will be by your side and drive you in the path you're meant to follow. That's all.
Beautiful.
Beautiful, yeah. Shreya?
All right. So I think I will make it a very short conclusion, since we have covered most of the amazing things everybody has put out here. I think for all the audiences and for every single woman out there who's trying to break down the physical stereotypes, the mental stereotypes, and the emotional barriers, I would really love to have them working on themselves and just remember these 4 easy tricks which can really get through, which really helped me in my self-discovery process. And that's why I call it the Flossom Awesome trick, which works for everyone. First is choosing to challenge yourself. Challenge yourself in all the possible ways. Just put out yourself out there without feeling the urge to seek any external validation. Be comfortable, be you. And then it is all about choosing to bring in that transformation. When you decide that you want to change and bring that change within yourself, I think nobody else can do that on your behalf. So as long as you feel comfortable, and then there comes a moment where you want to strike that change and say that, hey, yes, it is easy for me. So it's all about choosing to transform and then leading yourself. I think as long as you are going to be rising above all the odds, above all the situations that life has to throw you out in, it's your inner determination that keeps you going, and that inner voice will really make that difference, rather than the whole world of society, wellness experts, or we as coaches can tell you to be yourself, or putting yourself in a place where you feel comfortable. And last but not the least is, I think, embracing your perfections or risking them out to the extent of amplifying them. And that's where you put out your best version of being you, being just unique the way you are, and accepting yourself the way you are. And that's where a woman is born who is totally, perfect in her imperfections, and that's how it makes a woman who is flossom and awesome. So that's my whole theory and life philosophy, which I would like to share with everyone. Thank you so much.
We are very grateful to have you here, sharing your beautiful message. Abirami, our psychologist.
So I would say, like, manifest your wish, your dreams, and your likings. Do not try to compare with somebody else, and then try to visualize things of other people's or other race or other creations. But when you manifest what you want, it is going to happen. The universe is definitely going to make it happen, and automatically it will happen. So one thing is, put yourselves only in your shoes. Don't try to put yourself in somebody's shoes and try to walk, and definitely you will fall. So automatically, whatever you are, embrace that, like that, love that, and you will definitely reach where you want to reach.
Beautiful. You see that all of us, I think a lot of you have agreed that being you is our best contribution to the society. We deliver balance with our balance. And when there is, as they have said, they see the social media with these super powerful beauty codes that are a business, that is a fashion that will pass with the time. When you see that, just see on that an illusion, and take what is good for you, and what is not, just leave it. And that is your responsibility at personal level. At the society level, as organizational level, we need is to do what we are doing in different shapes, with modesty, humble as we do it, but just to contribute to a message on diversity. Not to a message of what is beauty. We don't know what beauty is it. We see it in paintings, in history. They have considered the worst painting in the world, and then after 100 years they have sold it, of millions of dollars. So you never know what is really beauty. It depends on the time. It takes patience. It takes time to change social codes. But we could start by this, what we are doing, friendly conversation, delivering peace, seeking peace. Thank you, Birgitte, for being so inspired with your book. Shira, thank you for being an elite woman and being here with us. Abirami, thank you so much for your professionalism and for your kindness message as well. And Paula, you're a powerful leader. You are a transformative yourself, and just with your presence, you are transforming this place. Tanya, I have to leave as you see, but you know what she is. She sent this beautiful message. Especially, I would like to end with this, when we say, just focus on your atmosphere, what is around you, empower others, start by your small space, and that will help to make big changes. Thank you so much, ladies. I hope to see you next year. Now we can say next year.
Thank you so very much, Mar. It was wonderful. And on behalf of everyone, I would just like to take half a second to thank you, to be grateful for being such a benevolent soul. Every time you come up with such wonderful initiatives, and you do so much for all the soul sisters through G100 Network and for everyone. So thank you for being you.
Thank you so much.
Yes, I would echo that. Thank you very much, Mar, and everyone here, and also the audience. Thank you for taking the initiative to start creating change with yourself and others. And so thank you all. It is such an honor and a delight to be with you and with all this beautiful spirit.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.